Welcome to Long Days, Big Love, the podcast about motherhood and all of the things in between. I'm your host, Audrey Mackey. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the things I said I'd never do as a mom. And before I had kids, I will let you all know I was the greatest parent in the world. Let's get into this. I think pre-kid delusions are real, like for real. My oldest is 10. He'll be 11 this summer. And before I had him and when I was pregnant with him, I was in this very judgy mindset. Like I was very delusional when it came to judging other people out with their children in public spaces, whether it was in a store or at a restaurant or even like walking in the park or going wherever and just interacting and seeing these people, families and stuff like that. And whether it was like a temper tantrum or whatever it is, it's like, oh, my kid will never act like that in public. That will just not happen. Or going to a restaurant and seeing a family sitting there having dinner and like give their kid an iPad. Like, no, yeah, my kid's not going to have screen time in public. They're going to engage in the dinner with us and we are going to have it as a family. And that's just how it's going to be. And like snacks, right? Like healthy snacks. Like I'm not going to feed my kid like this garbage, this processed like food and everything like that. Routines. I was never really a routine driven person, but I knew like pre-kids that you just need to have a routine. Like it's not that hard. Like just have a routine. You're just going to, nap. They have to nap. And if you have a nap, like they're fine. Like it's okay. Like just have a routine. My favorite is I'm never going to yell. I'm never going to yell at my children. I'm just going to get at their level and I'm going to talk to them and we're going to work through it together and I'm going to validate their feelings and their emotions and we're just going to be very organized. Everything's going to have a place and a place for everything. And I was a sucker for Pinterest. Like I was a Pinterest was like the thing that came out like when I got married, like when I was planning my wedding. It was like the first thing that was, oh, there's digital vision boards now that you can do this stuff. And I had a Pinterest motherhood in mind. Everything was going to be Montessori learning and everything has a reason and a purpose. And it's just going to be so organic and great and wonderful. And it's all just going to be wonderful. And again, I go back to these are all pre-children delusions. I can happily say that absolutely none of those things that I took off like do I do as a mother. Not one single one. I think you have great intentions and ideas before you have kids. And of course you want the best for them. You want to do everything you possibly can to make them happy, healthy, safe, loved, all of those things. And in your mind, you think, this is easy. I can totally do this. I could not. And I was rudely awakened. Patrick was a wonderful baby. He really, truly was. We were very fortunate to have that first kid, be a good sleeper and he could kind of go anywhere. And yeah, we kind of had a routine, but like he could nap anywhere. He could do all the things. And then, when you have your second, like not the same, different, totally different. And the third and then therefore the fourth and the third having different needs, like you just have to pivot a lot. And I can happily say that not one time did I ever get upset or angry at like I had my pre-children delusions aren't working out. Like I laughed. I honestly laughed about it. I'm like, oh, yep, now I get why that 3-year-old had an iPad with them when they were, having chips and guac at the restaurant so that they could actually eat the chips and guac at the restaurant. And that's okay. It's totally fine. The snacks, I had great intentions, but you know what? It's really hard and expensive to get organic food and snacks and something that's going to end up on the floor half the time anyways. So yeah, my kids eat goldfish and, they partake in, different processed foods and everything in moderation, and that's okay. Never yelling is hilarious because as much as I'm not vicious, I don't think I'm like this evil mother, but I laugh at the warmer months when you start to come into springtime and summertime, and I said, "Well, it's yelling season now because now my entire neighborhood, my windows are open and everybody can hear me yelling at my kids." Because you know what? They don't listen and they don't follow directions. And that's the purpose that I'm there for. I'm there to teach them how to do that. And if my voice has to get loud and I have to yell a little bit, then that's going to happen and it'll be okay. Survival changes everything. It really, truly does. The drive-throughs, like I was saying before, I don't want to go through a drive-through and eat fast food every single day. I know that, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes there's just not enough time and you got to be X, Y, and Z at a certain time and you just got to do it. It is what it is. Bribery, I bribe. There is bribery. There is, if do this now, I will give you this later. First, we are going to sit and have our picture taken, and then you are going to get an M&M. Yeah, I bribe them because you know what? I really want a nice picture of them, and I'm going to do everything that I can to get this task accomplished. iPads, I mean, screens are a rough one for me. I think I am moderation. I don't want them to be on them all the time. I am a very firm believer of go outside, play, imaginatory play, things like that. But sometimes the situation calls for it. And especially with Michael, a Bluey theme song is his jam. And he wants to watch the opening scene on loop. And that regulates him and makes him happy. Then you know what? I'm going to give him a couple of minutes to watch the Bluey theme song and he's going to enjoy it. He's going to regulate himself and it's going to be okay. And we're going to move on with our time. Mismatching, like the first child, I think, was like the most well-dressed child. This was the child that got everything. And, the outfits were just like a vibe, right? Like every day was like a fashion show. I think with Patrick, he had more outfits than I did. And they were themed and they were adorable. There was a lot of suspenders with him. And there were photo shoots and everything was a thing. And then, William comes along and I'm like, ooh, this will fit him now. And but I got to get him his stuff and everything. And then, Michael comes along and it's like, okay, you got all these hand-me-downs and they're great, but they're kind of like, whatever. And it's like, ooh, well, that one doesn't really go with that one anymore. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Just put it on them. Like, we're good. And then Mackenzie comes along as the girl. And I'm sorry, but she wore a lot of her brother's hand-me-downs to start. And then I did get a little excited to buy some dresses and cute stuff and girly stuff for her. But honestly, she likes the boy stuff. She likes to wear the cutoff shirts and the Harley Davidson things and stuff like that. And you know what? She rocks it. And who cares? It is what it is. But learning to embrace the mismatching and the chaos of it all is totally fine. And just letting things go. Just let it go. Let it go. Talk like Elsa. Let it go. There is nothing that is that important to lose your mind over. I have learned that over the years of parenting and mothering, because here's the thing. I'm going to complain about stuff, but I'm going to get it done. I'm going to be annoyed but I'm also going to spoil my children. I want to do all the things with them. I want to, go different places on our terms, and I want to do the fun things, and I want to make them happy. And then in the same breath, I'm going to complain that they're ungrateful for it because sometimes they are. But you know what? I love it. I love every minute of it because I have learned to just let the chatter go. We're doing things on our terms. We're doing things how we want to do them. And, we're changing the perspective here because this is what works for us. What actually matters now in looking at all of this and things, I do as a mom and what I didn't think I would do and now what I'm doing, the emotional safety of my family is probably the most important thing to me because that's something that I never thought about before becoming a parent. And when I talk about emotional safety, I'm talking about, are they comfortable coming to me as their mother and their father and talking to us and being open with us and letting us know if they're okay or what's going on. I am very proud to say that my children talk to me. My kids let me know what's going on. And I don't have to necessarily pry things out of them. And that's probably one of the best feelings in the world, to know that I am a safe place for my kid. And if something's going on, good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to come to me and they're going to talk to me about it. And that makes me really, really happy. And that's one of the most important things, is their emotional safety, and knowing that. Kindness, kindness is huge, because you want your kids to be good kids. And then you have kids and you still want them to be good kids. But being able to teach them and show them kindness and know that they're showing kindness in a way as they grow is incredibly rewarding. And that is something that is very important, that I don't necessarily always want my kids to be right. I don't necessarily want my kids to always win. I don't necessarily want all of that stuff, but I always want my kids to be kind to others, but to be kind to themselves too is incredibly important. Flexibility. I think flexibility is huge. Being able to go with the flow and just be flexible in the moment. Things are going to get spilt, knocked over, broken, angry, dropped. All of the stuff is going to happen. And being flexible to be able to just kind of like, all right, that didn't work. We're gonna go do it a different way. I think Michael adds a wonderful, wonderful piece to our family by having us be flexible, and not everything works the way that it is necessarily supposed to. And we have to be able to pivot. We're able to do that. Showing up is a huge piece of parenting. I think of motherhood, of womanhood, of all of the hoods that are in there. You have to show up. You have to show up for your kids. You have to show up for your spouse. You have to show up for your family, your friends, but you also have to show up for yourself, and taking that into consideration too, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, because otherwise, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be of any good to anybody else. And embracing those who show up for you. I know exactly who's going to show up for us in my family and in my friends. And I also know exactly who's not going to show up for us. And that's okay. I know, what's going on and what each relationship deserves. And I think that's an important observation that you have as a mother, as a wife, as a friend. You know exactly what you're getting out of things. I don't think that's a bad thing, because you should be getting things out of relationships, because that's how relationships work. You give and you take, and that's there. So showing up and knowing that, and knowing who's going to show up for you and how they're going to show up for you and how you're going to show up for them too is incredibly important. And I think finally, the biggest piece of this, as a mother, prior to becoming to a mother and then becoming a mother and going through this journey, is the connection over perfection. I had such a distorted view of parenting and motherhood prior to having children. I did. I had that Pinterest board. I had that vision. I had that idea. And as life goes on, and there are perfect moments, don't get me wrong, there are perfect moments, and they are moments that I will always treasure and hold into my heart. But there is so much more imperfection, and finding the big beauty in the imperfections and learning how to accept the imperfections and living through that, and then finding those connections through that journey is probably one of the most important things. There's not going to be perfection. There's not. There's going to be moments of it and there's going to be little snippets of it. But as a whole, there's no perfection. I'm telling you this right now. Please don't aim for perfection. Aim for what you can do. Aim for the connections. Aim for the experiences. Aim for the lives that you want to cultivate, and do the things. Do what you can do and live life to the fullest with your family and with your friends, and don't focus so much on that. So, there's a lot of things I said I'd never do as a mom. And I'm very happy to report that, almost 11 years in, I don't think that any of those things have got to fruition. And I've done the exact opposite of all of them. And you know what? That's all right. And we're going to go with it. Thank you for joining me today on Long Days, Big Love here in Studio 77. I'm so happy that you came along. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow along, share who we are, share our story, because you know what? I think there's a lot more women out there just like me, and I want to hear from you. Thanks.